we're gonna knit even more. Hi and welcome to Knit with Hannah. I'm Hannah. I'm here with Knitting Natter, and we are nattering today, and we're gonna knit with even more confidence, ease, and joy. Believe me, when we finish this meditation this morning, and these ideas came to me, and it just occurred that I have to do this now. I have to let you know what my mind has been thinking, my soul has been sharing. I tell you, these feel like nuggets because these are life lessons. They're not just knitting lessons. They are, yes, you probably learnt from the title that this is a knitting benefit. This is a massive knitting benefit because the confidence that you get, the ease that you feel, as soon as you start recognizing these things, these nuggets, it will change your knitting if you're not feeling this already. And you may well have picked up some of this from me already, so you could well be feeling this too. You may have picked this up from your own knitting life, and you may be thinking some of this too. But if we put it all in one place and say, those are some interesting thoughts and ideals, and just if we can knit like this, wouldn't life be easier? So thank you, soul. Thank you for sharing this with me, because I'm really excited to share this with you. So knitting nuggets. Okay, I've got my notes here because I was sat here kind of going, oh my goodness, I have to write this down. So when we're knitting, naturally, I'm going to sit here with my knitting. Now this is an interesting one. When I knit this kind of thing, now this is from the Rainbow Cowl, and the Rainbow Cowl is 3 colours, and I'm using 5 colours in this, just shorter bursts because I'm using leftover yarn. And as I've been going through the rainbow, it's not obvious that the next colour works until I'm a decent way through it. So this one is a little bit of an experiment. There's one here that is finished and feels very much more complete and, shall we say, organised. I just need to put the colours in place. But this is part of it. Letting go of what happens next and is it working, until you can actually see whether it is. I mean, these colours, they just melt into each other and they just, yes, well, that's obviously the next colour, isn't it? But with these, it feels very much like an autumnal afternoon. And are they working? The orange that I've got here, this is cinnamon, I think, in the colour Rainbow of Rowan Felted Tweed. And I have a feeling, and there may well be some other oranges that would probably be a bit more suitable. This one is very in your face, and this orange at the end here is the brightest, is the most standout colour in this little Rainbow Cowl here. And I have this denim bluey colour at the end here, and these greens into the blue, they're just going to melt into each other, like the pink melts into the purple, into the blue, into the green. But the orange is very much a standout. So that's the one thing that's been getting me every time I've been knitting this, but I'm just going with it. I'm saying, is that okay? Can I let go of the fact that I'm not sure? I don't know. And when I got to the green, and I was enough of the way through the green to start choosing a different colour, I started going, is blue going to work? Is that going to be alright? Is it going to feel okay in a very autumnal colourway? I don't know. But I don't have a different green, and I don't have any other real autumnal shades. I don't have a brown. I think if I had a huey, mossy brown kind of colour, then that would have worked really well. But all I'm thinking is, as you go through autumn, you've got the dark blue skies that kind of got grey clouds over them as well. And you've got the greens of the pine trees. You've got the avocado, cumin and cinnamon of the leaves just changing. That's what this feels like. We've got the whole landscape, a much wider view. But this is letting go of what I don't know. I haven't tested this before. This is an experiment. It's letting go of the I don't know. So that's one letting go. If you're doing something and you're not sure and you're experimenting and it's something you've never knitted before, it's a pattern you've never used before, it's a yarn, it's a needle, it's anything in knitting that you've never done before, you have to let go of the finish. You have to let go of the process and just go with it and say, I'm not sure whether this is going to work. I'm not sure whether I can do this. You have to let go and say, I believe, I have faith. And I also have to let go of the final expectation for what's going to happen at the end. What am I going to receive at the end? Is that something that I expect? Because actually, I don't know what I'm really expecting from this. I haven't drawn it out. I haven't done all these major computer simulations of what these yarns will look like once they're melded into each other with all of these different colours, stitches. I don't have that. I just have this kind of vision in my head of what I'm hoping for, but I have to let go of any expectation that might be there. I just want, in so many ways, I want it to be cosy. I want it to be an autumnal kind of feeling as it's finished. And the expectation just has to be gone. So that's one thing. Okay, so one of the words I've been asking about and just came up in meditation this morning was suffering. And I recognised that suffering wasn't something that I saw in myself anymore. It was a label that I'd been given for a very long time because of my health conditions. Someone would say to me, oh, you poor thing, you must be suffering. And saying must basically says, I presume this about you. So you must find that difficult when you don't actually know whether the person is finding something difficult. That must be awful for you. Well, must it? Is it? How do you find that? Is that okay for you? Is probably a better way to address it. But with this, all of my teens and 20s, I had a lot of people labelling me as being a sufferer of these long-term health conditions. And it took time for me to firstly recognise that was something that was being said. Not only that, in the media as well, someone who has an illness, who has, for example, we see all the time, this person suffered from cancer. We don't know that. This person was diagnosed with cancer. How they felt, how they lived it, was up to them. And maybe they didn't suffer. Maybe they found an acceptance and even a joy in life because they recognised that life is a gift and that gratitude comes through. So it's a very strange thing to say, and it's the words that we use in life. We can let go of finding knitting. Oh, knitting's difficult. Actually, knitting's quite interesting. It's as simple as that. Knitting's difficult. Well, if we're going to go in with that kind of emotion and say, oh crikey, this is too much of a challenge, there's no way I can do this, when we haven't actually picked up the needles and the yarn, it's actually letting yourself get in there and say, actually, one step at a time, one stitch at a time, and it feels so much easier than I thought it might. So it's the letting go of giving the labels. Like I said, it came to me this morning as something that I really wanted to share. Yet another knitting benefit of letting go. So let me just show you some of these words that we can change. I made a mistake. You had a mishap. That's okay. No problem. Ah! Becomes oops. How can I fix that? Or what could I do differently? It's the response rather than the reaction. And all the time, if there's an ah, you can let it become an oops by just going, step back. Or put it down, have a cup of tea, come back and realise actually it wasn't such a massive problem that you thought. So also imperfection becomes unique. Who has ever knitted a blanket and one of the squares was the wrong colour, or one of the squares, the pattern was different to all of the others because it was a big mistake and something was botched? Well, actually, that's quite an interesting, quirky take on it. So that square becomes the highlight, becomes this, oh, that's an interesting idea. So it doesn't matter. It's unique. It's interesting. It's artistic. So the creativity comes out and you realise, okay, this is actually better than I thought it would be. Rather than, oh no, it doesn't look like the pattern says it should. It's oh yeah, this is mine. Everyone can tell it's mine because it's different to everyone else's. A failure, this word is bandied around a lot. If you don't want to make mistakes, if you don't want to fail at something, and obviously there are YouTube videos out there. I mean, I have a knitting video, 6 mistakes beginners to avoid. That was in my first year of knitting as a teacher here on YouTube. And I look back on it now and I'm pleased that after I did that, I was like, 10 tips to make your knitting perfect as a knitter, as a beginner, or 10 tips to really help you as a knitter, or 10 things you need to know as a beginner, something like that. I can't remember what it was. But rather than these are the mistakes, here are the tips. So we don't have to be always positive, but we can say, okay, those are the things that might go wrong. Those are the things that might go right. I can hold them both at the same time and actually have a pretty good journey. Failure is a lesson for next time. That's okay. And like I said, a failure might actually be the unique opportunity to make it your own. And things aren't failures. They're just imperfections, and that's what humans are. We're all imperfect. We are just human beings, not human doings, going along the same path, working as mechanical, almost bots, doing things correctly every single day. So we wouldn't grow and evolve if we didn't have mistakes and mishaps. So this knitting is challenging. Actually, this knitting is full of growth and possibility. All of those little knitting courses out there you'll find in my academy, there are opportunities to grow. There are opportunities to find possibilities that are in your knitting that you never actually realised were there. The circle knitting, the cable knitting, the lace knitting, a new one that I'm creating at the moment that I think you're going to love. That will be shared later in the year. And all of these things, every single knit along, there might be a challenge in it. Oh, that's an interesting one. I never knitted anything like that before. Could I? Dare I? Is too much of a challenge? Actually, it's full of growth and possibility. And in these kind of things, you know that every knit along I create for you, it is full of growth and possibility because the step-by-step videos are there for you to follow, like tutorials, every single step of the way. So there is growth and possibility. There's no question about it. And you can be really excited about that and say, oh no, it's too challenging. Actually, this is exciting. Think of the possibility. I could actually knit that, and I believe I can knit that. So the letting go of the and allowing it to become and allowing yourself to hold them both at once. We can master duality. We can hold them both at once. A challenging knit can be growth and possibility. A failure can be a brilliant lesson for next time. Imperfection can be a unique opportunity to make the artistic choice. Yes, it's imperfect, but isn't that a good thing? You can make the choice of which words you use. And again, this is a life lesson inside your knitting. And once you've learnt it in knitting, it feels easier to then move it through into the rest of your life. And I found this so helpful. I know a big part of my life was understanding that little pocket of ill health and recognizing all of the lessons I had in that, which then, like I say, extrapolate into the rest of my life. And I've just put my knitting down because I'm reaching the end of the round. I've got that yellow marker there saying, hang on a second, you're about to finish the round and you need to do something more complicated. So I have put it down. But this is always a lesson for me. I'm doing this kind of thing to say, okay, well, you need that marker there for next time. Because if you don't have a marker there showing you where the end of the round is, then you're going to probably make a mistake, a mishap, an oops, once you've gone past that centre point. And all of those things that you think you learn and you think you know may not go correctly, they may not go perfectly. Okay, so I'm going to say goodbye. And yes, keep your eyes out. We are having a knit along soon. We are not only having a knit along soon, I will be sharing with you the course that I'm making at the moment as well. And other things are happening inside Knit with Hannah. The YouTube membership is there. Big thank you to members because they have been helping me in the background, just answering a few questions and also enjoying the videos that I'm creating for the membership part of YouTube. So if you want to go and join that, then you get 2 extra videos a month. You also get these videos earlier than everyone else. If you join the middle or the upper tier, then you get access to discounts on knit-alongs and other events that we're doing in Knit with Hannah too. So thank you for joining me today. Letting go is a big lesson we can find and a big benefit we have within knitting. And somehow I did recognise it before, but I didn't recognise it as actually what can be a big part of knitting, because we have to let go of all of those things, all of those labels that we give our knitting sometimes, when actually they're not necessarily labels that we need to give them. Okay, I will be here again, you know I will. And I will be sharing more about the knit along that we're actually going to start in September. I asked you in the posts part, the community part of YouTube, when you would like a knit along to start, and many of you said the first week of September. I thought, okay, I will start it within the first 10 days. We actually have a bank holiday the last Monday of August, so that's always going to be a difficult week because Nick's home and it's a shorter week, so we will probably begin the week after that within the next 10 days. Okay, so I will see you again soon. Thanks so much for joining me today. Bye for now and happy knitting.